One of the issues that's cropped up is sustainability and the environmental side of running a club these days. Tom Rouse, Nicholas Andrews-Govin have asked, are there any plans to become more eco-friendly, carbon neutral? Matt, any thoughts on that?
I think we're well on the way with that. You know, for example, we've got 90% of our lighting, you know, at Compton and Molineux is now LED. We use 100% renewable electricity. We're in talks with having solar panels on the roof here at Compton and on some of the stands at Molineux. So you know, I think it's part of a bigger sustainability program, but we are conscious of it, and we are being proactive in trying to implement ways to be more sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways in which Fosun led the way during the pandemic. Jeff, is this something that you feel in this country you could be a leader on?
Leader on what? Sorry.
On the environmental side of a club, how to become carbon neutral, and looking at maybe the technologies that you can see.
Yeah, I think around the remit of the club, we can do everything to help with that. So, for example, about the lighting, about energy saving, about everything we can do. But outside of that, I think I want to focus, because we are still a club, you know, a football club. So I think the major job is about the sports here. So sometimes I talk a lot with Will, the head of our foundation, and I think some jobs will leave to them to do the job for us. But around the club, when we are running the club for every day, and we will plan a lot to make saving the energy and try to help the environment. And sometimes it's not only about that. I think in some special cases, and we are trying to help the community here, like we have done something in the pandemic. So currently, I want to say there is truly a kind of emotional attachment from Fosun to Wolverhampton, the people here. So,
yeah, I think that can be
seen.
So
yeah. We care about the people here. So if we can do anything to help, we will help. And also we are a little bit special because Fosun has a lot of things in the world, you know. So we have more resources to help, not like we are only one club. So I'm keeping talking with the owners, and I think if any chance, if we can leverage the resources from the group, they will do that.
Talking of the group, Ross, and sort of Wolves' place in the wider Fosun community, where is the global growth happening, and what sort of structure are you looking at in that?
I think there's a number of parts to our global growth. I think first it's useful to understand where we've come from. So 3 years ago, probably 500,000 followers on our social channels, very, very UK based. And 3 years on, we're now nearly 7 million followers across social channels in 5 different languages. And it's really interesting when you look at, I know Jeff said it earlier, so where do those fans come from and how do we engage them? So we have lots of really talented agencies that work for us around the world, and they help us create content that resonates locally, that becomes authentic. And to your point, Johnny, are these people really Wolves fans? And yeah, we genuinely believe that they are, because we aren't just publishing English content and translating it into a different language. We're infiltrating that community. We're building long-term relationships with fans. I mean, I've been lucky enough to sort of go to a lot of these countries, and last time I was in Mexico, I can tell you, anywhere you go with a Wolves top on, you're getting a "Si Senor" sort of yell back at you. I think I sent some pictures to Vinny, because I was quite shocked when I went to the Club America game that outside the ground they've got literally hundreds of tents selling a kind of fake product. Every single one of these tents has got Wolves shirts. I wasn't sure if that was good or bad. I mean, from a marketing perspective, it was great. From a retail perspective, maybe not so. But I
asked them to try and shut them down.
But look, what is great is it just shows us that there's that real love for the club out there. I mean, in terms of commercial revenue, we know there's a direct relationship between your fan base and what you can drive commercially. So the bigger your fan base, the bigger your opportunity, whether that's in retail and licensing or whether that's in partnership, sponsorship, because clearly you can give those partners and sponsors significantly more exposure if your fan base is bigger. So, it's my job to really get out there and, help develop this fan base. I think in the 3 years that I've been here, we've seen our commercial revenue go from 7 million to 25 million. And while that's good, that 25 million is it pales into insignificance compared to Man United, who are like 1,000% more in terms of their commercial revenue. Tottenham's 600% more in terms of their commercial revenue. So we're part one of our journey, but we've got a long way to go to really look at how do we go and tell bigger stories, better stories, and one of the things that we talk about in terms of the Fosun Group and the fact that they've got such a huge portfolio of companies across so many different industries. They do break them down into health, wealth and happiness, but it's so diverse. And Jeff very much has encouraged sort of the marketing and the commercial teams to think entrepreneurially. So for us, it's not just about necessarily a football club, because I think if we only focused on us being a football club, then it's going to be really hard to start to drive those revenues that these other football clubs do. So we're now starting to develop our esports projects. We're starting to develop projects in motor racing, music, fashion, and so on. So actually, if you imagine, and this is very different to football, this is very unique. We think of ourselves probably more of the Red Bull model than we do as a traditional football club. And look, 20 years ago, if you asked someone what Red Bull were, they would have told you a caffeinated drink that gives you wings. They're now a $3 billion sports and entertainment business. With verticals in motor racing, extreme sports, record label, a gaming company, and that's our vision. Our vision is to take Wolves kind of global and build a brand and a fan base, and off the back of it, commercial revenue that can then support our football club to really push on.
Tying in with that, Martin said he thinks a Wolves 2020 cricket team would be a good idea. Now, it's interesting what you say, because obviously a certain section of fans will wince at the idea of that sort of, that the hole that you're describing there with brand very much at the front of it. But how can you relate that to the first team? Will it have a direct impact on the first team? The numbers you mentioned before will filter into the first team in terms of transfer revenues and that? Yeah,
of course. The economics of football club are relatively simple, aren't they? It's up to sort of me and Vinny and all of our teams to drive as much commercial revenue as we can. Filters back into the team. Clearly, we've got to work towards financial fair play. So it's the only way to drive our business.
It's more about attention. You have to get attention from the world. You have to get the eyeballs. So I think revenue and profit will come after that. But to do something important, you have to make the people around the world to know you, to be aware of you. So only by Premier League football is not enough. You have to promote Wolves as a brand or across the world. They can by many other chances to know you. If they start to know you, then you have a chance to get more revenue or get a bigger fan base. So now we are at the first stage. We are trying to get the awareness from the world. I think it's night and day compared with 5 years ago. In 5 years ago, I can tell you, in China, maybe 100 fans. They knew Wolves maybe from some games, some mobile games, or they knew Wolves, but they never heard Wolves really. But now it's night and day. So we will keep doing this. And in my view, it's very important to find a way to let the people around the world to know you. Not only about football fans, all the people, they should find a way to know you. That is our job.
And everything we do is ultimately to drive success of the first team. People can often see esports and that type of stuff as a distraction, and why we're doing that. We're doing it because we ultimately want to make the organisation stronger commercially and competitively, and that's that drives everything that we do.
That point about distraction is a really good word, because in that sense, when fans look at we talked about it before, the structure of the club, they will be thinking, are Wolves taking their eye off the ball? But they're very much not, are they, by what you're saying there? It's a wholly different department from what Scott's side and Nuno's side.
I think absolutely. Look, we know we're in a competitive kind of peer group. So when we go to market for partnership, we're going to be talking to the same types of companies that Everton, West Ham. We know that, right? So what we don't want to have is the same proposition as them, which, look, is an amazing Premier League, the world's most watched league, fantastic. A product on the pitch which is achieving, pushing for Europa, pushing for Champions League football. Again, it's similar in a lot of ways to that peer group. So actually, from our perspective, we'll be able to tell different stories about when you partner with Wolves, you can actually now partner with a motor racing team, you can partner in an esports, you can partner with this, you can partner with that. It's a really exciting proposition, and it's very, very different to every other football club.
and that gives us a competitive edge ultimately, or will do longer term.
Scott, Luke Fellows has asked whether or not signing more players from different parts of the world could make a difference. He particularly looks at Son at Spurs and the impact that's had with his home nation. Is that too crude a way of looking at it? Would you entertain signing players simply because of where they are in the world?
I think having foes in the zones, we've focused. We've had 3 or 4 Chinese players within the academy. So you know, one player was sold back to China at the moment. One of our young players is on loan in Beijing. So yeah, I think we would be stupid not to look at all the markets. As you said before, we've certainly looked around Europe at Asian players particularly. So yeah, it's something that very much we're focused. With Brexit as well, we're looking all over Europe and all over the world in Asia and North America. So it's certainly something that we would be stupid not to do.
The kit is something that a lot of fans have spoken about, and why can't we go back to an old gold Wolves top? Now, I think there's confusion with this. I think certain fans have different opinions on what old gold is. Russ, what's old gold?
Oh, crikey, I know, I am. And do you know what? I mean, I'm a born and bred Wolves fan, as you know, John. If you asked me what old gold was, I'd probably struggle to tell you. I can tell you what my favourite gold is, and I can probably tell you what my son's favourite gold is, and I can tell you what the Pantone references of our brand gold is, but I'm not sure I'd hold up my hand on my heart and tell you what old gold is. So look, I think from our perspective, it's a case of, you know, what is the most popular gold colour that's going to help, you know, drive the football club forward. And you know, I think we believe that really vibrant, dynamic, bright gold is under the floodlights. Well,
that was the 50s team. It was under the floodlights. They had a special satin shirts made to shine, and that certainly wasn't old gold. But if you look into history and tradition, you should definitely look at that 50s side. I mean, where do you stand on kit, Vinny? Are you a fan of playing around with them and different designs? Is this your domain?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my background before joining Wolves was I'm from a merchandising and product background, so you know, kit's always very high on my agenda. And again, it's about, you can't play around too much with certain things. Certain things are sacred. You know, home kit colours are traditionally, you know, very well respected. Whereas we like to think that we can, you know, potentially be a bit more creative and experimental on maybe a third kit. Or, you know, we've had great success over the last couple of years with our Mexican and Portuguese inspired third kits, for example, which you can maybe be, you know, you've got more of a creative license and it's less emotive on a third kit. So, you know, we try and always find that balance on product between, you know, respecting the heritage and the history of the club, but also trying to modernise and move with the times and the trends that are in the market at the moment.
How much can you say about the next kit deal and where Wolves will be going?
Yeah, I think I'm safe to say that this is going out after that announcement. So yeah, we've recently signed, well not recently now, but we've signed a kit deal with Castor, who are a British premium sportswear brand. That's been sort of ongoing for what feels like forever now, but it's a massive deal for the club. It's the biggest technical partnership that we've ever done by some distance, and interestingly, it's a unique partnership model in the fact that it breaks away from the traditional model that clubs have with the usual suspects. You know, your Adidas, your Nikes, your Pumas of this world, and by that, what I mean is Castor, in our new partnership, we'll be making our premium product for our athletes, for our coaches and our players. But on the retail side, the club are going to be manufacturing the product themselves, and we're working very closely with Castor to make sure that all of the relevant approvals are gained, and it's a hugely profitable deal for us from a sponsorship and a product perspective. But what it does is it gives us the flexibility that now we have that control over the supply chain. We're not over risking ourselves on inventory. We're driving, you know, our cost price down because there isn't a middleman involved, and we're able to pass that on to the fans. You know, I know we talked earlier on the ticketing side about fairness and being reasonable, and kit is something that we can be under where our peers are because of this new deal that we've done, and where next year you'll see, you know, kits in the Premier League around £65-70. We're going to be still at £55 for our replica jersey. So it's a great deal. It also gives us the ability to have bespoke products. I know from many bits of feedback that we've had, fans get frustrated that we have the same gear as many other teams do, and that's a constant source of frustration. Everything that we're going to wear next year is completely exclusive to Wolves, and there's nobody in the world that's going to be wearing the same stuff. So you know, it's a massive deal for us for many reasons. The commercial benefits, the fan benefits are going to be there for all to see. And one interesting one that I'm really keen to be bringing in is we're going to have a range of women's replica products next year, which we've not had in recent years. So another massive plus for us there. So it's a great deal and we're really excited about it.
I think on that one, it's worth noting that obviously when we went through the conversations with potential kit partners, everyone came to the table.
Okay.
And that's exciting for us because it says a lot about the club and where the club are going, and the fact that everybody wants to sit at the table and have a conversation with you about being your kit partner. And our narrative internally is all about being the challenger club for challenger brands, and so it was important to us to find a partner that actually was going to dare to be different, was going to shake up the market a little bit. And also, as part of their commitment to us, as Vinny says, commercially it's so far superior to anything the club have ever had in the past. But also there's a budget allowance from a marketing perspective to go and work together to tell our stories in new geographic markets together. So there's a real, very much a sort of a partnership, true partnership opportunity.
And the other thing, we talked a little bit about global fan bases and being able to activate certain markets. Not just we, but clubs historically struggle to activate markets quickly. So the way the brands work, they're cumbersome oil tankers of machines. They're not agile, they're not nimble. Because we're manufacturing the replica products ourselves, it means we can really get product into Mexico. We've got emerging markets in North Africa. Obviously we've got our colleagues in China who have the Wolves megastore out there and some marketplaces out there. So if we were to sign a player that opens up a new market, a Brazil or an Argentina overnight for us, it won't now take us 2-3 years to be able to turn that around and get products and activate that market. We can do that instantly now because of the new deal and the model that's in place. So that's a massive benefit for us as well.
There's one big ethical debate when it comes to the shirt, and that's obviously the sponsor. And Wolves have a gambling sponsor, and given the problems gambling can cause in communities, where do you sit as a club with having a gambling sponsor on the shirts?
I think that we believe that gambling and football, a little bit like alcohol, they're part of the game, and I think that we would always encourage responsible gambling at all times. But I think it's also fair to say that Manbet have been a fantastic partner to the football club. And we go to the market, we talk to hundreds of companies every single year, and commercially, by some considerable distance, Manbet is the best deal on the table. And obviously they've been our partner for 2 years, and they've been a fantastic partner to the football club. So, from our perspective, we're really happy with that relationship.
Do you understand, Jeff, that there will always be some fans that quite rightly point to the problems with gambling and see it as an issue?
Yeah, I think it's the issue from the government. It's not the issue by us. I think just if it's legal in the UK, I think the society and the community and the government think it's the right thing to do. So for me, our view just follow the law and follow the legality and follow the government. If it's okay in the UK, I think there is a proper reason here and it will exist. And also for the competition, if other clubs can do this, if we don't do this, it's a kind of disadvantage from us. So I personally have no positive or negative about which partner will be a good partner. I cannot say that because under a legal perspective, I think if they are all good partners to myself, and so yeah, hope that can answer your question.
Yeah, no, it does. It's quite calculated in the answer. Vinny, will you understand that there will be people who won't buy the shirt because of the sponsor?
Yeah, and we do get that feedback, but ultimately, the sponsorship, the front shirt sponsorship, is one of the key revenue drivers of the club, and they have been a great partner, and they've stepped up and they've delivered on all their obligations, and we would support them as they support us in partnership, really.
I want to talk about the match day situation in general. Pardeep Garsha, Jeff, has talked about the absence of a 4-star hotel in the city, and does he think it negates the sort of corporate hospitality offering of Wolves as a whole in terms of that weekend experience?
Yeah, not only about hotel, about everything. I think as a new citizen here in the city, right, so 5 years already, so I do think we need a more restaurants and
Yeah.
better with better Chinese food or Asian food.
But where can Fosun help with that?
I don't know. It's not our job. Sorry, I have to say that. Just and also we need, of course, we need a five-star hotel. I think but I think we can do some job to help the government, because if Wolves can be a top club in the future, and we will attract more and more tourists to come to the city, and I think the demand will grow. So then eventually the market will have the capacity to have some new hotels and new restaurants. Like I often go to Cambridge or Oxford, I can find a really good restaurants there because there are foreign students there, right? So I think that's the same. So eventually I hope one day, by the help of Wolves, the club here, we can attract more and more tourists, new citizens like me, and foreigners to come. Then Wolverhampton can be more globalized. Then we have more restaurants, more hotels. Yeah, that's my personal hope. But I don't think it's my job. Sorry. Yeah.
We will only hold you responsible for so much. Ian Groom has sent in a question. It's a very lengthy question, Russ, about his ideas for pre-match, half-time and post-match entertainment. He's come out with a whole plethora of ideas about a Molyneux TV. He's essentially looking for a big outside broadcast to supplement what's going on the pitch. Where do you stand with what you can do on a match day?
Well, I mean, we've obviously tried to do what we can behind closed doors. So Matchday Live is a product that has been really, really successful. You know, you're talking about sort of 4 or 5 times the views that we traditionally would get from an audio broadcast. And so I don't see any reason why we wouldn't look to continue that. Funny enough, I spoke to Lindsay Hooper, who did some work for us as a pitchside presenter during the Europa League games, and one of her suggestions was to utilise the screens a little bit more rather than on-pitch talent, and I think she's got a point. So we're always looking to sort of beef up our media products. So I'm there. You know, it's something that we're really, really keen to do.
I'm going to stay with you, Russ. Ian Davis is a big fan of the programme, and a lot of clubs have gone off the programme and headed down the digital route. But I know many fans enjoy the programme. What's the future for the actual physical programme?
Well, I mean, this year we've had 3. Ultimately, we had 3 types of programmes. So we were conscious of trying to service. So we've got an audio programme, so you can actually literally listen to the programme. We've got a digital programme, and we've also still remained doing the print of the physical programme. I think whilst it's profitable, you know, we really believe in the product. We believe it's a really good product. It is still profitable, and so we'll continue to run it. I think those days when it becomes unprofitable anymore because perhaps it's run its course, then obviously we'd have to look at it again. But as it stands at the moment, it's a product we're really proud of, and you know, we have no intention to stop it right now.
That's good, yeah, because it's a great programme, and I know a lot of fans think that as well. Tom Woolley isn't a fan of the fan park, though. He says it's congested and poorly arranged. Any work going to take place there?
You know what? That's the first time I've heard negative feedback about the fan park. I think the fact it's congested is, from my perspective, good news. If there was no one there, then I'd be a bit more concerned. So look, I think first and foremost, if it's congested, that means it's popular. So that's a great start. And also, it's also a good start in terms of us developing it and improving it. So, is it perfect? No. You know, however, it's gone from nothing to congested. So, it's something we believe in. It's part of the match experience. It's a free addition to your match day, both pre and post match day. So, yeah, it's something we'll definitely continue to do. And you know, I'm happy to speak to him to get his feedback about how we can improve it.
And what we've done previously is a bit of a proof of concept. You know?
Yeah.
I think we've put a bit of music in and a burger and a bit of merch. You know, and we've seen that it's popular and it works. So yeah, I think we just build from there.
Absolutely, we do.
Jeff, a question here from Ryan about cryptocurrency. Can you see the day when you'd accept cryptocurrency as payment for tickets? I don't know if you saw Elon Musk tweeting about Bitcoin recently, virtually tanked the market. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah. Personally, I will support that if the country allows that.
Yeah.
I think if the country allows that, it means the new thing will not hurt the financial system in the country. So, for example, in China, it's not legal, but here it's okay. So it depends on the regulation of each country. So if it's allowed here in the UK, I'm not against that. But globally, I think it's still a slow process to accept that from the governments around the world. So it will take a long time to be a global currency. I think I don't see it will happen very soon. But in some country, we can do that. Yeah.
What about the internet at the ground? Claire Elliott said internet upgrades were promised a while ago and haven't happened.
So we've done some internet upgrades. So if you're within the concourses, you can access Wi-Fi for the Wolves app. I think the next stage for us then is definitely taking that into the stadium. It is a significant investment. However, we do believe there's a place for it. And we've talked again before. What does that look like? Well, it enables us to do sort of video replays from your seat. It enables us to do order food and beverage from your seat. So there's lots of benefits to it. And I think it is something that as a group we're committed to. So watch your space on that one.
Yeah, and if we're being fair, when we talked earlier about value and we talked about ticket prices, that's something that I would expect to be, as standard as being a good service within the ground for what you're paying your money for. So I think, as Russ said, that's something that we're keen to do.
Is that a good point you make about the fact that when you charge the prices you're charging, you're going to be held to account for what comes with the ticket?
We've got to get the product right, not just in general admission ticketing, but across the board. What we charge, we build up to suit the product that we're servicing, and we always want to have tiering of products as well. So we want entry level, accessible products, but we want higher end premium products as well, and everything on that value chain should be befitting of its price.
It's almost the entire live experience, isn't it? So the congested fan park, right through to the DJs, the fireworks, the lights. We're putting on a show, and we have to deliver great value.
The keys at the turnstiles.
Yeah, well, exactly. Sorting the keys. Yeah, the keys at the turnstiles.
We can't leave this table without talking about the women's team, which has made great strides and generated a lot of publicity, really positively for the club, and that the club has covered them brilliantly. What's Scott? Any plans for the long term with the women's team?
I think we've been talking a lot, myself and Jeff, and we've been talking with Will from the foundation about the women's team moving forward. I think we certainly want to put some strong foundations. I think there's certainly of interest. I think over the last 2 or 3 years we've taken away paying to play was the first step. The girls now train, and they were before COVID training here. The RTC, which is the girls' academy, also started to train here, and with COVID couldn't. Now they're back and they're playing games here at the weekend. I think from my point of view, as my role, I think I want to have an academy here for both boys and girls, and that's the target from our point of view. And I think from that we can put some really strong foundations in that we can really grow, and then let's see where it goes. Really, I think hopefully promotion, and that's something we've applied through the FA, and then from there we'll really start to build the club. Jeff's keen on and really getting participation he wants the same opportunity for girls in Wolverhampton as for boys, or in the Midlands to come to it. We're trying to make it really a place that young girls want to come and train and play and get the opportunity. Yeah,
Jeff, is it more than just the women's team? Are you looking past that?
Yeah, I think we have to. I think you have two options. The first option is like maybe Chelsea or Man United. They are pursuing the glorious trophies for women's teams, but we are not doing that way, because I don't think there is a really commercial market there. But I think I'm very keen to encourage the girls here and in Wolverhampton. They have the same chance to play football as the boys. So we will open the academy to them. For every age group, they will share the same chance to enjoy the facility here, to play on the pitch here, to have the education from the coach here, and so we will share the same opportunity to them. Then, in future, if they can play for Wolves, even they will move to Chelsea, to other big clubs. But we have done our job and to help them to have a good career. So that's our major view on the women's team here. So the focus for the next 5 years will be more about young girls and how can help them to get a job. Because maybe we have many talented girls here, but maybe they have never a chance to have the training at a young age. So we can provide that. So we don't want to have any disparity between girls and boys. So that's our focus. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just to wrap things up, it's been an incredibly difficult, challenging, and unique year. What are your hopes just going forward in the short term?
I think the fact we're still standing after this season is an achievement. But I think, as I said, I think if we can reset, have a good pre-season, I'm a football man. I go back about our experience in the Europa League. It would be great to be challenging again next season for a European spot. It's going to be tough because this season we've got the likes of Everton, West Ham, Leeds, Villa, all trying to do the same. So I don't think we can underestimate it's going to be tough again next season. But I still think we've got the squad that can do it, and I know we'll improve it in the summer. And I think hopefully we'll be there or thereabouts again. We'll have key players coming back, and I think it's a great opportunity. I
think we must look back at the journey we've had. Really, I think if I look at my nearly 6 years at the club, where we were and where we are now, so I think we've got a lot to be proud of first, and I'm very proud of what everybody at the football club's done in that time. I think that we're looking to progress again, and this season's been disappointing by the previous year's standards, but I think we're still very proud of what everybody's done in a very difficult period, and I'm sure we'll be pushing again next season. Yeah,
it's interesting to say it's been disappointing, but I think it's only been disappointing by previous years, taken in isolation. I mean, Vinny, it's a decent season, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think someone mentioned to me it's the third highest finish in 40 years that the club's had, and a lot of people are looking back with disappointment. I think that just shows really how far as a club we've come, and in terms of my expectations and my hopes professionally, I hope that the new partners that we're onboarding get off to a great start. The teams are focused on building excellent products, and our trading strategies continue. And I'm really hopeful that we can hit our targets as we get back into a more business as usual year. But personally, I just want to see Molineux packed to the rafters again, because when it's full, there's no stadium in the UK like it, and I hope we can get there sooner rather than later.
Russ, have you missed the overseas travel and everything that comes with the job?
Look, I have. Obviously, they're always fun trips. Spend a lot of time in China, a lot of time in the US. We had a fantastic pre-season tour organised. Crikey, we're going back sort of 2 summers now, which unfortunately didn't happen because of COVID. So we've got all that to come, and I think that's the exciting thing. I think there's probably about 3 or 4 projects that are in the pipeline that we'll be announcing, which are massively excited in terms of growing our fan base internationally, and at the right time, touring pre-season. There's so much to look forward to.
Jeff, would you acknowledge it's forward-looking that we should be concentrating on?
Yeah, it's 5 years now. I still remember vividly about the day I came here the first time. So I still remember the welcome from the fans, but now I have more sticks, so you can see. But actually, I think the club has grown a lot in the last 5 years. But for the next 5 years, I think it's more about to strengthen the whole club, not only about the first 11. So maybe in the last 5 years, it's more about the first team to get the promotion, to stay up in the league, and to go to the Europa League. But in long-term view, and it's always about the competition between clubs, about the whole structure, and whether the structure is solid enough, and about the academy, about the commercial strengths, about the fan base, about all the people here, whether they are better than the people in other clubs. So that's the focus. So what I'm thinking is not only about the next season, it's about how to make the club a better run club, and also a top club regarding the management efficiency, or the growth, or the financial capacity, or I think about all of them. I believe in long-term view, and when you talk about a better club comprehensively across everything, they will prevail and it lasts. I think if you only sort out the first 11, maybe they can bring you a good season for 1 or 2 seasons, but it will not last. So that's my job for the next 5 years. So if you think about 10 years plan, so I think there will be a different tone between the first 5 and the next 5. I hope after the next 5 years, when I'm reaching 50 years old, I can say Wolves is really a top club, not only about the performance on the pitch, about everything inside the club. Yeah.